Okay, hello everyone, this is Mr. Ronan here again, and today we're going to go over a quick little guide for how to make sure you're making the most off of round start with Vanguard. And thanks to his huge buttons, Vanguard has possibly the best round start ability in the game. Thanks to his standing lights and his standing B, he's basically able to cover any option that the opponent could possibly round start with, and I'm just going to quickly make this video to show you how to make sure you're capitalizing on your round start to make the most of this amazing advantage that you have playing Vanguard. So one of the most obvious round starts Vanguard has is just mashing his light buttons. I see a lot of Vanguard players do it, and it's very good. It catches a lot of things, such as jumps, including jump backs, most characters round start buttons, and is obviously very safe if the opponent blocks it. But you can actually make your standing lights a lot better round start option if you change it up and actually don't do the second standing light. If you instead do your standing light into B and 2B, that is actually a lot better in a lot of situations, mainly due to the fact that a popular counterplay against Vanguard's round start is just to jump backwards. Because as you can see, even if I get the standing lights on the round start, I can't get anything off of it. Even if I get my massive 6 MS, it just doesn't connect because they're a bit too far away. But if I do A, B, 2B, it works in basically almost any scenario, which is pretty amazing. And you can get whatever kind of round start combos you want. Obviously they're going to be short, but you have a few options. It's also a little bit better on block because it's 3 hits you can chain together, and you kind of can delay in between the 5B and the 2B. So it's just a little bit better on block, and it does push you full screen. So if that's something you're wanting, that's very good. But if it's not, then I suggest you kind of go for some staggers, and this works surprisingly often. I just go for a 5A, and then instead of going for the follow-ups where because I've been doing this a lot, my opponent's conditioned to respect my OP round start, I can be a bit disrespectful and then go into my skill shenanigans at the beginning of the game and start them off with a decent amount of guard gauge disappeared, just to get them ready for the Vanguard gameplay. So yeah, that works surprisingly often as well. So if they are blocking it, you have the option of doing this if you don't feel like pushing them full screen. But sometimes it's good to push them full screen. If I'm fighting Grappler, having him this far away is really, really fun. Now Berserker is actually a good example of a character that gives Vanguard a bit of trouble on round start, because he has a really far-reaching standing A that will actually beat out Vanguards. So you see, if we're bashing our standing A's at the same time, Berserkers will win. But the difference is, not many characters have standing A's that are as fast and as far-reaching as Vanguards. Because you can see, if I don't press my buttons, Berserkers doesn't actually hit. He doesn't have the same range that I do. It's just because he's hitting my hurt box that gets extended when I press my buttons. So if I just do if I'm holding backwards on round start, I'll do a micro step backwards into my A's, and that will beat basically any character that tries to contest your standing things. As you can see that works. And you can do the exact same thing where you go into A, B, crouching B. And kind of another option that some characters have, and Berserker is another example, is some characters have really low profiling and long-reaching sweeps. So Berserker and Striker are ones that come to mind. There are a few characters in the game that can do this, which, when they do this, will actually beat out Vanguard's standing lights because they just go under them. So, as you can see, he's kind of crouching under it, and even as he moves forward, there's just no way that he's going to get hit by it just because of Vanguard's standing light. And if they don't stand up during their crouching heavy, then you're going to get screwed. So this is when you actually have to start to slightly change your round start, and you can't rely on the light-medium sequence that we've been doing for a while now, because it just starts to kind of not work. But no worries, because Vanguard has other buttons that can snuff out any little ways that the opponent can sneak through your round start. So if the opponent is doing anything that is trying to beat you, and it isn't like the jumping away things that you're catching with your light buttons, using your step 5B will just beat it. It beats jumps, 4 jumps, and most crouching things, because it's reasonably fast for a 5B. So as you can see here with my crouching Berserker, I am using a hand for each character, so this is quite difficult. If you press it at the same time, it beats any kind of crouching buttons, and it'll even beat someone if they jump. So no fear, if you do realize that people are starting to counter your standing lights at round start, just do your standing heavy, and then they'll just After you've hit them with both of those options, shown that they have no chance on round start, they'll probably start being patient and just block. And if you ever feel like you need another option to kind of switch it up a lot, another option that I think works surprisingly well, and even though you wouldn't think so, is actually doing an instant air mana special. So this obviously anti-airs literally anyone who tries to jump towards at you, which some characters can do. They can do jumps into their mana special and it kind of makes them go a little bit over your standing light, but that's very, very rare, and I've only seen it happen once, and maybe that was just my poor timing. But if that is possible, you have this amazing anti-air, and it's also very good if people have round starts that beat yours. Maybe people are doing crouching buttons like Berserker has here, or Hitman has a really long-reaching one, or people have really far-reaching and fast light buttons like Kunoichi has a surprisingly good round start. But you jumping in the air and doing this beats out all of those options, and you land on the ground with this plus on block strike, and if you do get the OTG, you can take some extra damage if you'd like, or you can just use it as a good way of getting a safe jump. Oops. So yeah, extremely powerful stuff. And if you're playing a really long set and you've gotten to like set 10, your opponent is definitely going to be respecting you by then, because there's no way they can jump back, jump forwards, they can't even roll. There's no options that most people have against your round start as Vanguard. So sometimes, just very few times, because you want to make sure they respect you, and you may as well take your guaranteed round start, but sometimes you can just start with your skills. I would recommend starting with your standing, like your neutral, your 5S, just because it's a very slightly faster, so it is a better chance of catching them off guard. And then of course, you know, go into your S shenanigans. Even if they get hit or block, it's going to be great for you either way, and be a lovely damaging round start. So yeah, just to reiterate, using 5A, 5B, 2B cancels out a lot of the opponent's options. They can't jump forwards, backwards, neutral jump, mash buttons unless they're extremely quick, or roll. And any options that do beat that option will typically be beaten by a micro step back into either your lights or even your 5B. And once the opponent has started respecting you with those, you can start doing crazy things like using your skills at round start, or even going for your aerial MS for a plus on block thing that somehow catches people off guard all the time. You can start going wild then, because your round start is just that guaranteed that people want to respect you then. So yeah, make sure if you're playing Vanguard, you're making the most of your strong round starts, because you need any advantage you can get. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!